Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Transformers Beast Wars podcast.
Found at OptimusPrimecast.com.
Now, this week, of course, since this is episode 1 of the Transformers Beast Wars podcast, we are going to be talking about episode 1 of Beast Wars.
You know, I would absolutely love talking to you about the first episode of Beast Wars. It's an amazing series, but who the hell are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Dale.
And I'm Eric.
All right. And
nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, too. And I'm really looking forward to watching this entire show with you.
Yeah.
All right, so we just finished episode 1 of Beast Wars. So at the beginning, we have 2 ships coming out of a wormhole. Mm-hmm. They're fighting with each other. We find out that one of these ships contains Predacons. And we do have, I do believe, Megatron is named in the scene.
Yes. It's just a lot of standard, very, dark scenes, minor exposition here and there. Lots of, space ship battles, like, damage control, hull breach in Sector 7.
Yeah,
and
a lot of faces, like little shots of faces, but no full body shots. You see the most of all the robots that you see. You see Optimus Primal's face, and you see Megatron's face. A little bit of Rhinox and maybe Tarantulas at one point or another. Hands, a lot of robot hands fiddling with dials. Somebody who we find out later is Dinobot. Dinobot calls out,
"Their shields are down! Destroy them!"
And Megatron decides that it would be much more fun to toy with them and torture them. This is Megatron's hubris.
It's the character defect of most villains.
Yeah, it really is. But that's one of the things that's coolest about it, is that the characters in the show are super consistent. Megatron, when he's about to win, he decides that he'd rather have a good time. Dinobot is much more interested in doing things the right way.
And it keeps the show going.
It does. So they have this fight. So there's this firefight above this mysterious planet, and then they start to go down. Both ships are going down at the same time, because Megatron's just toying with the Maximal ship, while the Maximal ship is totally balls out gunning at the Predacon ship. And then they both end up crashing on the planet. They don't know where they are.
Well, before that, though, things are pretty dire when, later we find out the name of the character, but he shouts out that the cryo systems are failing, and Optimus Primal gives the command to eject the pods.
Yeah, they jettison all of the stasis pods, which is actually a great device for the show, because that means that they have unlimited new characters.
Yeah,
that they could potentially add to the cast later on, so that they can sell more toys.
All right,
they can consistently sell more toys for the show.
If I could harp on this, as kind of like a sci-fi buff. And I enjoy kind of like the tech aspect of things and everything else. And yes, there's a little bit of a leeway here. I mean, come on, this is a children's show that was released back in the late 90s.
The demographic is 12-year-olds. Yeah.
But I mean, okay, if the life support systems were failing in the ship, but the extra crew would be completely fine in their stasis pods and ejected out into space, if that support system was good enough for them to be okay and survive in there and survive a crash in there, why not just leave them in the pods in the ship? It just doesn't make any sense.
There are actually, I think that there might be a valid reason for that, which is explored at a later episode.
All right, well,
in a later episode,
we'll cross that bridge when we get
totally. Yes, it's not totally consistent. But the thing is, like, I learned this from there was a Transformers movie retrospective podcast series that I listened to recently, and whenever you run into one of those plot holes, I'm going to borrow a page out of their book and just tell you to roll out, Eric. So just roll out, okay? How come the stasis pods can all exist in orbit of this planet, but they can't just crash to the planet with the ship? Just roll out.
We're gonna all die here.
We're all gonna die.
He has to say that in every episode. I do have written down which scene he says that in.
Okay. Well,
Rat Trap is one of my... It's Rat Trap that says that. That's his catchphrase.
Why don't we get to the introduction of the rest of the cast here that we're introduced to in episode 1 here. So they crash down on the planet.
They crash down on the planet. The first thing that happens is Megatron needs to find out where he is. He asks the computer.
Navigation. Is this the right planet?
Unknown. Course settings were accurate, but readings are inconsistent with those expected for intended destination.
And then he says, okay, well, forget about that. Is there energon? That's what we need. And then, so after finding out that there's plenty of energon on this planet, he says, okay, then we're going to do this here. And that's when they find out that they can't be in robot form for too long, otherwise they will short out.
Field readings are off the scale. Continued exposure to robotic forms will result in permanent damage.
Which is actually a great thing for the show, because we needed a reason for robots to be in disguise on a planet full of animals that wouldn't care that there were robots. Who are they hiding from?
Yeah.
You know, that's really, for them to have thought about it, and to come up with a valid reason, we are all going to die.
It is nice that they give they put in the effort, you know.
What, we're all going to die if we don't adopt forms that are conducive to this planet.
Yeah.
You know, that was helpful. And it was smart. Because they're not sneaking around with animals trying to blend in with the animals. They're just trying to survive. Because what this is, it's a resource war. It's always about resource. It's like the U.S. versus the Middle East with fighting over oil. You know what I mean? It's
mechanized animal beast suits.
Yes. But otherwise, it's exactly the same. Please
don't spam us or report us or send us nasty emails, because Dale just equated a children's show to the
This is one of the smartest children's shows I've ever seen, and I love the show.
So while this is all going on, it's alluded to the fact that the same sequences are taking place over
at the maximal base. Yeah, at the maximal base, and that's where we meet the first named characters other than Megatron. We meet Cheetor first, who will, for the next several episodes, not know how to say his own name.
I'm Cheetor!
Interesting.
And that kind of brings up another question.
Why do they have to get a new name every time they get a new body?
Well, yeah, what were their names before?
I don't know.
And then, not only that, but how did they know what a cheetah was? Or how did Cheetor know
what a cheetah was in English?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have called it something completely different, like fast four-legged creature.
That would be a terrible name. Yeah, a fast four-legged creature or. Yeah, would be that would be rough. And whenever he would have to maximize, that'd be like a 6-minute segment.
It would be.
And they save a lot of time of story writing time by maximizing and terrorizing.
I think that, and I have a point about that coming up, so we'll get back to that. But like we end up we meet Cheetor.
Yep. First we meet Cheetor, and then we meet Rat Trap, who wants to cool Cheetor's jets. And then Rhinox tells them both to chill out because he's bigger than them. In between that, Optimus has spoken a little bit. They didn't call him Optimus Primal yet.
Nope.
They don't do that until the next episode, actually. But then he comes out, and he's the gorilla.
Now, the Predacons have the same sequence where they do the scan and they find all these creatures. And we are, later introduced to Dinobot and Pterosaur and Waspinator, and what's the
Scorponok, Tarantulas.
Yes. Now, when the scan went, it's like, okay, with the Maximals, okay, cheetah, rat, rhinoceros, okay, gorilla, great. But two of the creatures, Dinobot and Megatron, were both scanned of dinosaur bones. So, what type of computer is like, okay, if I was a computer scanning for forms that would best be geared to this environment, to this planet, why would I choose the animals that are dead?
One of the things I think, I'm not sure, because this series breaks it a little bit, is that there may or may not be some restrictions on what form a protoform, which is what they are when they're just a robot with no alternate form. When they're protoformed, how there might be a mass differential, like in the modern show, like or even in the Michael Bay universe, the Bay formers. Optimus Prime has to be a truck because he's as big as a truck. There isn't something the same size as a truck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And then if Megatron is the conservation of mass.
Yeah, and if Megatron is the size of it, well, yeah, but Michael Bay then goes on to ignore all those rules in every other situation. But
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, dude.
This is true. But we might. I don't know. Screw those movies; they don't exist.
All right.
Except for 4, it was pretty good. But Megatron wasn't looking for the forms best suited for life on the planet. He was looking for the most powerful creatures. All right, yeah. So like, I mean, we're gonna have to roll out on it, kind of.
All right.
But I think that a Tyrannosaurus Rex is a pretty badass animal. Okay. And he would be like, yeah, or he would defer to the computer, saying, you know, they're a pretty badass animal. Well, there's 3 dinosaurs. There's Dinobot, his Velociraptor.
Yeah.
Pterosaur is a
pterodactyl.
A pterodactyl. That's the word.
Oh.
See what I did there. The only real problem well, okay, fine. I guess there's a bunch of problems because Tarantulas is a big spider, but not, you know, but who has a spider that big? And then Waspinator is a big bug.
Yeah.
And then and Scorponok. The scorpions are tiny.
They're tiny.
Yeah, so we have
even the biggest of scorpions aren't as big as, you know.
Yeah,
well,
a cheetah. You know, I mean, we have these robots fighting each other. So, giant robots. We just kind of got to roll out on it. They just needed alternate forms.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't short out and end up in permanent stasis.
All right. So moving on.
Dinobot is pissed. He has these golden discs.
He's like, dude, where did you bring us? Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah. What?
You said you had this under control.
But what he says is,
No, it's all wrong. This cannot be Earth. Megatron, you failed.
So now we know where they were going. So they were trying to get to Earth, and there's some information on these golden discs, which is our new MacGuffin, which is one of the other cool things about the show, because this is a long plot thread, because we're not really going to hear about those for a while.
Okay.
So these golden discs got stolen. This is actually where this all began, because this is all getting pieced together through all this exposition, through them having to do things. What basically happened?
They have this disc. It's
Megatron
important.
stole.
You need to know it, but you're not going to find out until later what it is.
Yeah, Megatron and this group of Predacons stole the golden disc, and then they took off. And the only ship that was nearby that could track them was the ship that Optimus Primal is on.
The USS Enterprise of Maximal, ships.
Yeah, because they're not a warship. They are they're an
Ship
exploration. They're an exploration team. Yeah. So they're out there being scientists, and now all of a sudden they're stuck in the middle of a war, and they're outnumbered. Easily by 1, I think, at this point.
At this point, it's by 1.
Yeah. Once Dinobot gets pissed off and leaves, he doesn't even leave. Scorponok comes out and shoots him.
Yeah, he shoots him.
But that's one of the things that I love about the show, and I don't care. It looks kind of dumb until you really think about the marketing of it, because when Scorponok shoots his missile, it looks like a plastic missile coming out of a toy Scorponok.
Yeah.
You know, and how many giant robot shows have we watched where the toys don't do what the show does? You know, you watch Macross and they do like the big, like the hundreds of missiles that come out of their shoulders and stuff. You can't have that at home. But Waspinator with his little gun, you know, and it just goes bing, bing, bing. Yeah, and it practically sounds like plastic pieces hitting the ground, and then an explosion.
For those of you listening, you're going to come to find that Dale, well, much like many of you probably listening, has shelves upon shelves of various Beast War characters and miscellaneous Transformers toys, dating back to the original 80s, the original series, and beyond. So.
Yeah, I got some good G1.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, but I play with mine. So, what happens next? Okay, so...
Well, here, before we move on, there's a tiny little footnote that I want to kind of add here about these golden discs. There was a scene right before Megatron has Scorpionator Dispatch. Scorponaut, sorry.
That's okay.
Scorponaut. Dispatch.
Scorponaut? Is that one who journeys across scorpions?
Scorponaut.
Scorponaut. He's Scorponac.
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 Sorry.
Yeah.
For those of you listening.
It's your first time.
Yeah, I was not a really big fan of the series growing up. I've watched it here and there with Dale, but this is the first time that I've actually am sitting down and then
taking it seriously.
So anyway, getting back to the golden discs.
Yeah.
Right before Dinobot was dispatched, he throws the disc basically at Megatron, and there's a split second there where a bit of the detail is revealed on it, and I had to look it up. I made Dale stop the video so we could take a look at it, because I swore that it was the exact same gold plaque that was attached to the Voyager 1 and 2 probes. On the disc that he throws to Megatron, there's a symbol with a long line to a circle and then spanning off spires, which is almost identical to the way that the plaque on the Voyager probe showed our solar system with the sun and the different planets and the distances. So that's what that was. I thought that's what that was. And now with they're trying to get to Earth and having that plaque.
Yeah,
it's
they're
like,
trying to get to
God.
Earth, and there's evidence that this might be actually a map to Earth. Is what that might have been.
Yeah, I seriously thought it was, and to be quite honest, I was kind of let down.
Yeah,
they could have gone they could have gone just a little bit further and just used that plaque to kind of really make it hardcore for the science nerds.
Yeah. It depends on what kind of nerd. Yeah, it depends on what kind of nerd. What this episode is doing is setting up. Really, I think Transformers nerd.
Yeah.
For. Because the thing is, you have to be, if you're going to watch a Transformers show, you have to have certain roles filled. The roles that are filled are, you have Optimus Prime, you have Megatron, you have Bumblebee, and you have Starscream. Those are the real four main characters. And in this episode, and really in a couple more episodes, it's going to be fleshed out more, that it's pretty obvious anyway that Cheetor is the Bumblebee character. He's just the young scout, always trying to prove himself.
Yellow.
He's yellow. Yeah, he is in fact yellow.
Yeah. He has the same type of color scheme, like even in his not his beast form,
his robot
obviously
mode?
His robot mode. Structurally, he is very similar in stature, the way that his pieces kind of stick out or whatever.
He's
very similar to the original.
Same head shape?
Yeah, the original Bumblebee.
But the other question that we have is, who is Starscream? Because you have Megatron, and you have to have the one guy that's underneath him, his second in command, who is always trying to step up and take over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that, originally, with the scene that we left off here, I mean, that
is Dinobot.
Was Dinobot.
Dinobot's saying, you are an idiot, Megatron. You didn't get us to the right planet. We're lost, and I'm going to take over. So this is the fight. That's the eternal fight between Starscream and Megatron. So we have to think about that, and that's that kind of sticks in your head, especially when we look at what else happens. So he gets dispatched by Scorponac, and which is great. He gets hit with a missile, and he flies way too far.
Yeah,
I mean, cartoonishly far. And then I think that's all we see from the Predacons at that point.
That's where it ends. Then we bounce back to the Autobot, or the
Autobots,
the Maximals.
We head back to Maximal Base, where Rat Trap hates this gig. Rat Trap is not happy. So we have like the second in command of the Predacons that is not happy with the way this is shaping up, and is mad at the leader. And then we have, ostensibly, maybe Rat Trap is.
I don't know if he's the second in command.
Maybe not. Well, the thing is, though, that the Maximals are more egalitarian. They are more on the same level with each other. They listen to each other.
But okay, yeah, they do. It's more of a democratic type thing they have.
But we also don't even have. We don't really have Dinobot set up as second in command. We just have somebody getting fed up.
Yeah.
So
True.
So somebody's fed up, hates the gig, and wants to go home. Doesn't want to be in the predicament that they're in.
Yeah, he's a pretty big jerk. Like all throughout, like in this entire opening sequence at the Maximals. Different show.
Yeah.
Different show.
Yeah.
The Maximals base. Optimus Primal was like, what else do you, or what do you expect? What would you like? And he's like, maybe a ship that works.
Yeah.
It's like, what a jerk. It's like, you obviously know the extent of the damage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, you're gonna really throw that? Like, okay, no, you're a jerk. He's a New York cabbie with an attitude.
Exactly.
And it's just
Yeah.
no offense to those in New York
or cab drivers.
or cab drivers or cab drivers in New York.
Yeah, but we're gonna see that so much. We do see that a lot, but we see a little bit of another side of him, and it's coming up soon. So Rat Trap is pissed off, and Cheetor takes an opportunity. Cheetor all of a sudden forgets that they're all in terrible danger.
Yeah,
and decides to go run off and
go for a jog.
Yeah, he's gonna go chase some tail. Literally, he goes and runs off after some other cheetahs.
Tries to strike up a conversation with animals.
And introduces himself.
Yeah.
He introduces himself as Cheater.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Cheater. And he's going to do that a couple of times for the next couple of episodes. Like I said, it's like, oh man, it's like they just published the pilot. I mean, they're good. I dig them. And I love them because I know where the show is going. I've seen the whole show. And it's like, just stick with it. It's okay. It's going to be okay. He will learn how to pronounce his name.
Eventually, you'll start to love the pain.
Yeah, and this is where the first fight happens.
Yeah,
because Cheetor looks up and sees a wasp.
Well, that's not just that straight. He is trying to like hit on these other cheetahs, and like all of a sudden they're spooked. I don't know what would spook them. Some weird freaking sounding cheetah is trying to speak some type of language to them. So they of course get all Tex Avery big-eyed and like crazy, and then they run away. And he's like, "Well, what was that for?" He's
and
like,
he looks over his shoulder and says, "Oh, it was that unnaturally large wasp." Of course, we're going to have to roll out on the fact that he shouldn't know how big a wasp should be. Okay?
Or if these are natural to this planet. Like
these are things that we're just going to have to just deal with, because he looks up, sees a gigantic wasp, and then his logic is great. Hold it. That's an unnaturally large wasp. If it's unnatural, what else could it be but a robot in disguise? We just need catchphrases.
Robot in disguise!
We need catchphrases. We need lots of puns. We had Rat Trap telling him he was going to cut Mises to pieces earlier. And this also goes away. This too shall pass. It doesn't stay super punny because the show gets super serious. We're going to get hit with plot in about 7 hours.
So then we have a lot of third-person name calling, addressing oneself and calling out transformations.
Yeah, everybody has to maximize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, there's a minor fight. The Maximals, they I'm gonna keep on messing up the name.
That's all right.
It's gonna happen, and eventually it will pass.
Yeah, this too shall pass. Cheetor will learn his name, and Eric will learn Cheetor's name. So this will all just work out.
No cheaters.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like the Maximals, they realize that something's wrong. They can't get Cheetor on the radio or the comm.
Well, because after 100 yards, because of the interference from all the energon.
Yeah. So they sense something's going on, so they set out to go find him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're going to chase him down. But I think they're chasing him down specifically because they start seeing the firefight happen. That's what really starts it off. Waspinator terrorizes and then starts shooting at Cheetor. Cheetor maximizes and starts shooting at Waspinator. These are great words to string together in a sentence. And then...
and Eric prioritizes. What exactly he's doing with his life.
Eric, prioritize! So then there's the firefight there. The Maximals all ride Rhinox to the... Everybody get on Rhinox and go to the fight. Yeah, but they can't go all robot form, and they got to stick together. And Optimus we'll talk about that later. But this is where we really get a little bit of history. We get a history lesson, because by the time the Maximals all show up, the fight breaks up a little bit, and Cheetor's like his tail gun is jammed. I like how his butt turns into a gun.
He has a quasar jam.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what he calls it.
That's what he calls it? Okay, so Cheetor has a quasar jam. And he's trying to figure that out.
Because, they're a shoddy piece of equipment. That the quasars, it was a brand. It was competitive with Zenith for a while.
Oh, but Zenith won.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Never mind. Sorry to derail that.
Oh, it's all right.
So his tail, butt jam, gets constipated.
And then by the time all the Maximals show up, the Predacons have also shown up. So now they're having the big standoff, where Megatron and Optimus are going to talk to each other for a minute.
Yeah.
But no. But but this is where we get the history lesson. The history lesson is that that Optimus lets on that there's been hundreds of years of peace. So apparently this is possibly the first war since the Great War, which would be the war that that was fought in really season 1 of the Generation 1 cartoon. So after the Decepticons were defeated, there was eventual peace and stability between what became Maximals and Predacons. And now Megatron is breaking that peace, starting a new war right now by stealing the golden discs and seeking out the resources with which he can fuel a war machine that will conquer Cybertron and then the galaxy. Discuss.
Well, gee, Dale, since you put it that way. But no, I mean, peace, everything is, I guess, up to interpretation. I mean, Optimus Primal, of course, like, is saying, "Oh, we had peace and all this time," but Megatron takes that moment to say, "Peace, ha! No, this wasn't peace. Like, all along, we've had this in the back of our head. We were just biding our time."
We Predacons have never abandoned our rightful goal of galactic conquest. No, we have merely been waiting for the right moment to strike.
And what I enjoyed about that segment is that, as cheesy and corny as the delivery is, I mean, it's very true. I mean, if you look at the outlook, I mean, basically everything is up to everyone else's interpretation. The reality of me sitting here with you is completely different from the reality that you're experiencing. So, like, I mean, if they think that they're peace, both parties have their own take on what that peace is. For Optimus Prime, it's all the different factions and getting together and longevity of the race of Transformers. In Megatron's mind, it's oppression, where their
the ultimate goals of his political party
are being squashed and oppressed. So, I mean, he is always, and they are always, planning ahead to try to see what they can do to reestablish their power and their dominance. So, anyway.
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying. This show is awesome and brilliant. and yes, that is that's like a theme of it. It's that the characters that we're going to see and that we're introduced to, while right now it has to be brazen, like just right up in our face, that Optimus Prime is going to try to do the good. Optimus Primal is going to try to do the good guy thing, come what may. Megatron is going to look out for himself, come what may. Cheetor is going to always fly off the handle and try to prove himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's the young buck, unexperienced private of the group. I mean, Optimus Prime, of course, is the battle-hardened, wise leader.
He's not even battle-hardened.
Well, he's the wise leader.
Yeah.
Rhinox is the
turns into a Zen master.
Yeah. Rhinox is the grunt who's seen stuff and listens to the
gentle giant.
Gentle giant.
He's the super gentle giant.
You have Rat Trap, who's always cynical about every goddamn thing, and then Cheetor, who is
who we started out with.
Well, I mean, he's always trying. He's like, what? I'm going to do this. Like, I mean, he reminds me, I guess, of what Luke originally was in Star Wars, in the beginning of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm going to take on the Empire. I'm going to go out and do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do, and even though some of his, I guess, intentions are well meant, but the manner in which that he's approaching to get to, the ends to the means to his end, aren't necessarily true to what.
Yeah, he needs Optimus Kenobi.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. But like, it's funny that you would say, we start with Cheetor, and then you say Rat Trap, and then you say Optimus, and then you say Rhinox, and then you say Cheetor again. The thing is that Cheetor is the point of view character for the kid.
Yeah. I mean,
because we are that inexperienced. This whole world is new to us. We don't know anything about this place, and we're going to learn about what's going on and what the boundaries are through Cheetor's mistakes, through him trying to figure out his place in this world, just like any of us 12-year-old kids watching this in okay, I was 17 when I watched the show, but whatever. But he's our point of view character.
Yeah.
He's where we're looking, who we're looking to walk hand in hand with us through this big journey. The next thing that happens, Cheetor gets his quasar unjammed and shoots Megatron in the face.
Yes.
Which doesn't really hurt Megatron too much.
No, and yeah, we'll talk about weaponry later. But yeah, it definitely sets off Megatron, and he basically kind of throws it back into like his face. It's like, oh, you're acting like a true Predacon now, So that kind of sparks the 6-minute third person.
yeah.
Speaking to each other in third person.
Yeah, let's save money on animating a big battle by just showing the same footage that we're going to show for the rest of the series of these characters transforming. And we'll do it long, and we have to remind the kids what everybody's names are, so they will say their name and their activation code. So we have a really, really long thing where if anybody would have just shot a gun.
Terrorize!
Maximize!
Terrorize! Maximize! Terrorize!
Terrorize! Maximize!
Yeah, the entire battle, I think, lasted less time than the transformation sequence.
So then the shots are fired, the battle starts, Rat Trap takes cover, and he doesn't want to help. Cheetor is stuck under that rock. A rock gets blown up on him, and he gets his leg trapped.
Yeah.
He's a robot trapped under a rock.
A rock that's maybe about the size of his chest, maybe a little bit smaller.
Yeah, so we'll roll out on whether or not he could have gotten out of that without Optimus Primal's help.
Yeah.
This is where I think we learned that Optimus Primal can fly.
Yes.
Yeah, so Optimus Primal has leg jets, and he can fly, and he's going to go save Cheetor, whether or not Rat Trap will lay down some cover fire. And Rat Trap would not lay down some cover fire for the longest time.
Originally, Optimus Prime told Rat Trap to go help out.
Oh,
Cheetor.
Is that what happened? Oh, okay,
yeah.
He said go get him?
Yeah, he's like, hey, go get him. And he's like, are you kidding? And get my stuff shot?
We're going to have to learn all kinds of Transformers slang.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but my tailpipes.
Yeah.
Yeah? And you can just kiss my skid plate, fearless leader, because I ain't going out there and getting my pelt punctured.
But he denies it. Like, no, I'm not going to go out there. I'm going to get shot.
Mm-hmm.
And Optimus is like, fine, I'm going to go. So he goes.
Yeah, so he goes.
Then he gets shot.
Yeah, he gets shot in the leg, right?
I think he gets shot like on a mid-back. I assume mid-back, but maybe the leg.
Yeah, we might look. I think that his legs might take a walloping in this series. But, okay, so Optimus gets hit, but he does get Cheetor, and then they all got to get out of there. Right about that point, that's when it's been too long, and the Energon buildup starts shorting out the Predacons.
Yes. Which is somewhat... I mean, okay, I understand the concept. All right, great.
I mean, that would have doubled the sequence. I mean, seriously, if we take for granted that, except for the fact that Megatron was the last to transform, but the first to feel the effects, which is what your point was earlier.
That was my point earlier.
Okay, so there's that, but the Maximals would have probably been feeling the same effects on the other side of the trench where they were fighting, and that would have doubled the amount of time of robots standing there shaking.
That hasn't stopped this show before.
It hasn't, but the shaking animation isn't nearly as cool as the transformation.
And also like
when Rhinox vomits his own face out of his mouth. It's just it's a fantastic thing every time.
Yeah, if you do a still shot of the transformation sequence of Rhinox right before his head pops out, it's ghastly.
Yeah, it's all.
But yeah, so anyway, they start shorting out. They decide to let's get out of here. They hightail. Rhinox picks up Rat Trap. He's holding him up as a gun, basically, for Rat Trap to be shooting. They all start running off into the sunset while the Predacons start shorting out and then transform back into beast form.
Mm-hmm.
So they start heading back and getting back to base. They start talking about why the importance of kind of doing what you're told.
Yeah, the chain of command.
Chain of command.
The chain of command is explored, and this is where we see Rat Trap soften up just a little bit.
Yeah, not by much, but just a little.
Yeah, not by much.
Optimus Primal basically kind of tells Rat Trap, is like, I wanted you to go get him because I could have given you better cover fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would not tell you to do anything that I wouldn't be,
I wouldn't do myself. Yeah.
So, Rat Trap kind of, as you said, kind of softens up and says, shoot. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're both kind of apologizing to each other.
Yeah.
Which is really the thing, because these first couple of episodes we're exploring what are the characteristics of Maximals, what are the characteristics of Predacons, and if we can have these hard lines drawn, where if somebody complains at the Predacon base, they get whacked in the back of the head by Megatron, but over in the Maximal camp, we are allowed to have ideas, we are allowed to have opinions.
And discussions.
Yeah. But there are also lines in that structure that have to be drawn, that Rat Trap needs to conform to.
Yeah.
And then here comes Dinobot.
Yeah, the first cliffhanger episode, cliffhanger ending.
You need these double long first
Episode
episodes, man. All right, so then Dinobot is standing on the bridge leading to the Maximal base, and he informs everybody that he has decided that he is going to join their group as leader.
Did I hear the word leader?
This guy's got bearings of chrome steel.
I hereby challenge you, Optimus Primal, to a one-on-one battle. The winner shall lead the Maximals, and the loser shall be destroyed.
Because, you know...
Because you got...
Forget you, Predacons. You kick me out of your club, I'm going to go find this other club, and then we're going to go take over your club. That's
I'm
what
going to be their boss.
Because that's how awesome I am.
So that's where we... And that's where we leave off. Here comes Dinobot, and we are at the end of episode 1 of Beast Wars Part 1. It was written by Bob Forward. I think that if it was if both of the first two episodes were directed by the same person, it was Steve Ball, I believe, that did both of these episodes. The thing that I am looking forward to, I was talking to you about this earlier, is that I'm really looking forward to seeing what the patterns are and what the different writing styles are of the different writers that worked on the series. Mm-hmm. And because once we hit episode 3, you just see a total different shift in tone. I can totally tell that it was written by somebody else right off of the bat. And then I can never apologize enough for the animation of the show. A lot of people complain about it.
The animation of the show was somewhat groundbreaking at the time, but I mean it's still nothing new from what came before it, like a couple years before. Mm-hmm. Reboot was another big series that came out roughly around the same time and had the same type of animation style. There was this big jump to incorporate CG animation for shows and movies and stuff, and unfortunately this is the result. And with with production costs and everything else, I mean, for children's show, there's only so much that you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty horrendous. I mean, by today's standards. But
honestly, I think that it's pretty clean. They didn't pack in so many elements that it got just muddled. The thing that the show is doing is like, I don't think that the show was trying to be groundbreaking from a technical level. I think that the show is trying to tell you a story. Yeah. And that you look at the landscapes. The mountains ain't got no trees on them. There was when I want to say Teletran 1, when the computer on the Maximal base is scanning the rhinoceros and the gorilla, there is one tree that the gorilla is in, and there is a rhinoceros just sitting there on the ground underneath the tree.
Because, rhinos and gorillas, they
live in harmony, obviously. Yeah, they're best friends.
They're bros.
Yeah. They pound it out.
Yeah.
So, the show isn't, I don't think, supposed to be a technological marvel. What it's supposed to do is tell you a story. And the thing that I always look at with the show is the movement of the camera. The dramatic camera angles are really where it's at. They couldn't animate, they didn't have the budget to animate really badass sword fights and really cool gun fights and stuff like that. It was a lot of posturing and voguing on the part of the robots, because the robots had to move in ways that you could pose your robots at home.
Yeah.
And then and then the camera would do all of the work for you, and I find it very exciting, especially later on in the series when we're past all the punniness, when we know who the characters are, and when we start dealing with real issues.
Yeah, and getting back to, I mean, what you're looking forward to I'm also, in a way, looking forward to as well. I don't expect the animation to get better over the years. I mean, granted, it might, when we get into further seasons or further into the series.
By the time we hit season 3, there's a marked improvement.
Yeah, but, I mean, for the most part, I know these first couple episodes are going to be absolutely horrendous and difficult to get through. Mm-hmm.
But just to look at. I mean, think about how we were able to talk about the history of Cybertron and politics.
Hear me out.
Okay.
The learning curve, basically, of the viewer is extremely steep on these first couple episodes.
Okay, yeah.
They're cramming so much into these episodes to give backstory, to give character information and everything else, that it's very, very taxing.
Yeah, it comes off as everything seems a little paper thin.
Yeah, and the writing to try to squeeze all this stuff in at the same time is sometimes less than desirable. Mm-hmm. I understand that. I take this as like this is the duty that I need to perform, mm-hmm. and then eventually, like once you're able to get past the getting to know you period. Hey, this is what the show's about. Do you know about the show? This is what the show's about. Mm-hmm. And these are the people about the show, about the things that's going mm-hmm. on in the show.
Yeah.
Once we get past that point,
yep.
I think that the writing is going to definitely improve. They're going to find their stride. They're going to be able to move on forward. I know for a fact, and I've dealt with this with series before that I've dealt with, like not just animation, but actual live action or even movies. Once you get past that introductory period and they find their stride, series and shows can actually like phenomenally bloom. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to that type of payoff.
It's gonna kick ass. It's just like think about the beginning of Firefly. First 90 minutes was a little painful, but by the time you got to episode 6, you are in love with the characters. You know what's going on, and you also know that the characters are more than what they just appear to be.
But then the series ends because there isn't that many.
Well, but that's the beautiful thing. There are more than 13 or so episodes of we got a lot of episodes of Transformers Beast Wars to get through. But this was episode 1. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening. I'm Dale.
I'm Eric.
And this was the Transformers Beast Wars podcast,
which you can find at OptimusPrimecast.com.
Bye-bye.